Oh yeah, so like the idea, like if you want to say, okay, yeah, Kilmar Abrego Garcia has spurious gang ties, so we should send him to CCOT to get tortured. I obviously disagree with you. This isn't the only person that we sent to CCOT. We sent a lot of people to CCOT. Yeah, it's a problem. Plaintiff Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia secured an order prohibiting defendants from moving him to El Salvador in 2019, was released from ICE custody on supervised release shortly thereafter. Defendants were entitled to appeal the withholding order or seek to set it aside, utilizing the well-established judicial process. Deterred by the factual record and findings supporting the order, defendants did neither. They instead chose lawlessness. This is describing his deportation. Same day the district. So the Supreme Court ordered the defendants to facilitate Armando's release from custody in El Salvador and to ensure his case is being handled as if he were not improperly sent to El Salvador. As has been exhaustively detailed in plaintiff's filings, the defendants failed to comply with the orders of the Supreme Court and the District Court, requiring the defendants to facilitate his return. While June 2nd, 2025, the defendants abruptly returned Abrego Garcia to the United States to be charged with a criminal indictment alleging that he engaged in smuggling of aliens across state lines. He is in consistent threat of being removed to El Salvador or another country from which he will be refiled to El Salvador, all without due process. Accordingly, among the relief requested, plaintiffs seek to restore the status quo, that is to return Armando Abrego Garcia to where he was on March 12th, 2025, before he was apprehended by ICE and spirited away. There's absolutely no shot that happens, right? They're not going to take him back to Maryland. Maryland, are they? So this is the court filing in which they detail his treatment in CCOT. So we want to see the facts. The arrest and removal. Okay. In an attempt to ascertain his actual location and to find further information about his arrest and detention, his wife called several different detention centers trying to speak to someone. She recalls one brief conversation where she was told El Salvador was asking for him. That's great. Her attempts to protest by explaining Garcia wanted protection from being removed to El Salvador fell on deaf ears. Upon arrival in Texas, officers separated Garcia and 4 to 5 other Salvadorians from the remaining passengers. The detainees were confined to a stationary bus for an entire day while officials waited for additional deportees to arrive. Whoa, what? This was the first time Garcia learned that his officials had been misleading him about being brought before a judge, and they instead intended to deport him. They were lying to him about seeing a judge? Is that new too? calling detainees individually and loading them onto buses. The transport caravan proceeded to the airport under significant security, including helicopter surveillance. At the airport, multiple federal agencies were present, including the FBI, the DEA, and ICE personnel. Throughout this entire process, Garcia continuously informed officials that he possessed legal permission to remain in the country and work in the United States until 2029, had been granted a withholding of removal. He repeatedly requested judicial review. Officials consistently responded with false assurances that he would be seeing a judge, deliberately misleading Garcia to prevent him from taking actions to assert his legal rights. Jesus. Okay, so let's separate these. Let's make sure that we have everything separated and stuff. Yep. Conditions in CCOT. I think this is the money. Weird way to describe that, but the part that is interesting about this. March 15th, 2025, defendants deported 261 non-citizens, including 238 Venezuelan nationals and 23 Salvadorian nationals, to El Salvador without going through any legal processes whatsoever in front of an immigration judge. Are aware that the government of El Salvador tortures individuals detained in CCOT. Indeed, the U.S. President Donald Trump has made comments to the press expressing glee and delight at the idea that the torture that the government of El Salvador inflicts upon detainees in CCOT. CCOT conditions have garnered attention from human rights organizations. Each of the 250 cells is intended to hold approximately 80 inmates, but often holds nearly 160. Trump is bad, XD. True. And if you want to come up and chat, we can. Boop. Cramped cells are equipped with tired metal bunks without mattresses. Oh shit. The cramped cells are equipped with tired metal bunks without mattresses, 2 basins for washing, and 2 open toilets. There are no windows, fans, or air conditioning despite the region's warm and humid climate. Inmates in CCOT are confined to their cells for nearly 23.5 hours daily and cannot go outdoors. They are denied access to reading materials, including letters from friends or family. Inmates are prohibited from receiving visits from friends and family. Meals are provided through bars, and facilities enforce strict regulations to maintain order. May 2023, Cristolsa, a leading human rights organization in El Salvador, released a comprehensive report detailing severe human rights abuses within the country's prison system, especially CCOT. I would like to see that. Sounds like a great prison. True. We'll look that up in a second here. The investigation documented deaths of 153 inmates between March 2022 and March 27th, 2023, attributing many to torture, beatings, mechanical asphyxiation. Unfortunately, I do not have Discord. That's okay. And a lack of medical attention. Autopsies revealed common patterns of lacerations, hematomas, sharp object wounds, and signs of choking or strangulation. Survivors reported being forced to pick up food off the floor with their mouths, subject to electric shocks, and exposed to untreated skin fungus epidemics. Cristolsa, Director has emphasized that these systemic violations have become state policy. Garcia reports that he was subject to severe mistreatment upon arrival at CCOT, including, but not limited to, severe beating, severe sleep deprivation, inadequate nutrition, and psychological torture. Was the first name called to disembark the plane that transported him to El Salvador on March 15th, 2025. As he exited the aircraft, still in chains, two officials grabbed him by the arms, pushed him down the stairs, forcing his head down. There were strong lights illuminating the area, despite it being nighttime, and cameras were filming the detainee's arrival. He was struck by officers when he attempted to raise his head. He observed an ICE agent on the bus communicating with Salvadorian officials to confirm the identities of the Salvadorian men on board before the bus departed. Upon arrival at CCOT, the detainees were greeted by a prison official who stated, "Welcome to CCOT. Whoever enters here does not leave." Jesus Christ, I shouldn't be giggling. This is like actually disgusting, by the way. Because we are sending people here with no due process. I just want to make sure. We all agree. The reason that the people are here is because they did not have the ability to challenge their deportation, and they were sent to a torture camp. Okay, just so we're all clear. It's also crazy because a lot of the people who are sent here were explicitly done on national identity lines, because the Alien Enemies Act, which it specifically indicated were also sent to CCOT, were done on the grounds that you're a Venezuelan national, and that you're a part of Tren de Aragua, but those claims were not litigated. That's bad. Garcia was forced to strip, issued prison clothing, and subjected to physical abuse while being kicked in the legs with boots and struck on his head and arms to make him change clothes faster. His head was shaved with a zero razor, and he was frog marched to cell 15, being struck with wooden batons along the way. By the following day, Garcia had visible bruises and lumps all over his body. In cell 15, Garcia and 20 other Salvadorians were forced to kneel from approximately 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. with guards striking anyone who fell from exhaustion. During this time, Garcia was denied bathroom access and soiled himself. The detainees were confined to metal bunks. With no windows, bright lights remained on 24 hours a day with minimal access to sanitation. Approximately 1 week after CCOT, director, other officials separated 21 Salvadorians who arrived together. 12 individuals with visible gang-related tattoos were moved to another cell. Garcia remained with 8 others who, like him, upon information and relief, had no gang affiliations or tattoos. As reflected by his segregation, the Salvadorian authorities recognized that plaintiff Abrego Garcia was not affiliated with any other gangs. At or around this time, prison officials explicitly acknowledged Garcia's tattoos were not gang-related, telling him, "Your tattoos are fine." Okay. Kind of weird. I'd have to know the context in which a guard would just say that, but okay. While at CCOT, prison officials repeatedly told Garcia that they would transfer him to the cells containing gang members who they assured him would tear him apart. Garcia repeatedly observed prisoners in nearby cells who he understood to be gang members violently harm each other with no intervention from the guards or personnel. Screams from the nearby cell would similarly ring out through the night without any response from the prison personnel or guards. During his first 2 weeks in CCOT, Garcia suffered significant deterioration in his physical condition and approximately lost 31 pounds, dropping from 215 to 184. April 9th, Garcia and 4 others were transferred to a different module in CCOT. They were photographed with mattresses and better food, photos that appeared to be staged to document improved conditions. 2025, Garcia was transferred alone into the Centro Industrial Prison facility in Santa Ana, El Salvador. Slow night on Twitch. Yeah, true. Frequently hidden from visitors, being told to remain in a separate room whenever visitors came into the facility. During his time at the detention, was denied any communication with his family. Since the Supreme Court affirmed the district court's order requiring the defendants facilitate Abrego Garcia's release and return from custody in El Salvador and ensure the plaintiff Abrego Garcia's case handled as if he had not been improperly sent to El Salvador, numerous high-ranking government officials, including defendants, have publicly stated that they would not comply with the court's orders. Pam Bondi said he's not coming back. President Bukele said he's not sending him back. That's the end of the story. If you wanted to send him back, we would give him the plane ride back. But he's from El Salvador. He is in El Salvador. That's where the president plans on keeping him. Yeah, thank you for the "I could call" quote is so clearly. Okay. I don't even know like what to say after reading reports like that. Like this, whether or not you think that this person is a gang member or not, the idea that we're sending people, because Kilmar Abrego Garcia, believe it or not, is not the only person who has been sent to CCOT. There have been people who were deported under the Alien Enemies Act. That, oh fuck, JID dropped. There have been people who were deported under the Alien Enemies Act who did not get the ability to challenge their deportation. This is where the famous line, like, these people are being treated worse than the Nazis. It's because the line that was set by Ludecky was not being met. Like the idea of like a board to determine the classifications that you need to meet to be removed under the Alien Enemies Act, those hadn't been satisfied. These people were not being given the opportunity to challenge their designation as a member of TDA. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so like the idea, like if you want to say, okay, yeah, fucking Kilmar Abrego Garcia has spurious gang ties, so we should send him to CCOT to get tortured, I obviously disagree with you. But the problem is that this isn't the only person that we sent to CCOT. We sent a lot of people to CCOT. Yeah, it's a problem. And if you don't want to take the word of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, I mean, it seems like this coincides with reporting from the people in El Salvador. Which I want to see if I can find a link to that report.